The 24th Amendment. The 24th Amendment prohibited poll taxes in federal elections. Poll taxes were never a lot of money, but they were just enough to keep most African Americans and some lower class people from voting. There were several reasons for the creation of the 24th Amendment, but one of the biggest social reasons was to promote race equality. The South took several creative measures to get around the 15th Amendment. One such way was through the use of the grandfather clause, which allowed people whose fathers or grandfathers had voted to be exempt from literacy tests, poll taxes, and other means to keep them from voting. Jim Crow laws were a set of rules that dictated how to keep society separate but equal, and were quite obviously favoring white people. One section of the Jim Crow laws gave ways to keep people from voting. They included violence, literacy tests, property tests, people who owned property could vote, the use of the grandfather clause, white-only primary elections, voting purges where people's names were removed, taking away voting rights for former prisoners, and poll taxes. A historical reason for this amendment would be that African Americans had been discriminated against for over 100 years. The discrimination didn't end when slavery became illegal or when voting became legal for all people, because at that point it was a state of mind. So when the southern states tried to creatively keep people from voting, the government kept making laws and amendments to keep that from happening. The Supreme Court case I chose was Harper v. Virginia Board of Elections in January of 1966, 2 years after the 24th Amendment had been ratified. This case established that poll taxes were unconstitutional in all cases, be it federal or state elections. In the case of Breedlove v. Suttles, a precedent had been set that states could make their own laws on poll taxes, and there had been no Supreme Court case on the issue since 1937. This case had a 6-3 decision because some justices felt that poll taxes could be rational in particular situations, but the majority felt that poll taxes were one more way of racial discrimination. Test question. True or false, the 24th Amendment was interpreted to include state elections in the Supreme Court case Harper v. Virginia Board of Elections. This statement is true.